So we're talking about different forms of training inside of the gym. We were just talking about pass, sweep, submit, and how, like, for me personally, like I don't really like it. I don't think you do either, but like it serves a purpose.
I don't like it because it's not fun. It's not fun, right?
Yeah. I also just kind of get lazy with it because I know it's like, if I lose, I lose, and I get up and I walk away. Well, whereas like in a round, like in a 5-minute roll, like there's exploratory things, there's position exchange, like there's stuff like that.
Well, so like what it stemmed from is we were talking about, like, there's some gyms that have gone to the way of like, you can't go roll until you're 6 months in as a white belt, right? Which I get it.
Yeah.
Like logically, I get the safety factor, right? The learning body control and stuff like that. To me, the magic of jiu-jitsu is rolling. What I mean is, like, we have an athletic guy, played a sport, doesn't really matter what, but they're like, oh, that stuff wouldn't work on me. Great. Show up to open mat, and I'm going to put you with a high blue belt girl or a high purple belt girl, and they're going to start to mentally scare you, and then we're going to put you with a mat enforcer, and they're going to break you, and then you're going to want to learn it, right? That's the magic of it.
Yep.
If you're the flip side of that, like say you're a smaller lady or a smaller man and you're not sure, you get to come in and you get to move with people who are your size, and then they do something to you, like, that's amazing, but then you watch them do it to somebody bigger, and you're like, I want to do that. It really is a superpower, right?
Yes.
So like this idea that, like, I get it from a business standpoint, like it slow rolls people into it, but like you're missing the magic of it, right?
And I agree. Like I think I would have been very uninterested in jiu-jitsu if I hadn't gotten the experience of rolling, like my first true class. Yeah. Like I did a fundamentals class and like one time, and then Aaron Giannetti was like, "Are you going to stay?" And I said, "No, I couldn't at that time because I like had to go somewhere." And then the next time, I think
you've told this story.
Yeah, and the next time, like he like pulled me into like the class because I was able to stay, and I was like a little bit stronger. I think it was just the next week, and I was like, "I'm being a bitch. Like I'm going to do this."
Right.
But like that rolling, like that pressure that you're talking about, like experiencing a struggle that's beyond your control, that initial time was like, for me at least, was like, oh yeah. Like,
well, we touched on that in terms of like the importance of competing, but like to bring that back around to what you opened with, pass or sweep. People are like, oh, like it's so boring. Like I just want to do this. Like here's the deal. For me, it is, there's two ways. The main way is like, it's 30 seconds down. I spent a shit ton of money getting out to this whatever. I'm assuming IBJJF because like you have one loss, right? And I have to pass or I have to sweep or I'm going to lose this match. Like in every single go, not like I'm going to go really hard this round. Every single go is 100% trying to pass or sweep. Yeah. Because when you take away the submissions, people's defenses rise, right? Especially if they're playing to the rule set. Yeah. Now, you said like you're not a competitor. I know. Like, you're not a competitor. I'm not. But like, how do we motivate you so you understand? Or like flipping it around for like what we talk about, like emergency services, law enforcement, things like that. If you don't get control of this person, like if you don't pass their guard, if you don't sweep them off of you,
and then pin them,
there's a weapon within arm's reach that they're gonna beat you to. Yeah. Whether it be a gun, a knife, an improvised weapon, whatever it is, a syringe, a scalpel.
And for me, that turns it into more of like a scenario mentality. Like, how do I make this applicable to my work? And that comes back to like using jiu-jitsu as like move with intention inside of the sport. Well, and to use it for the end goal.
And it's so easy, especially if you train a lot, to like go through the motions. Yeah. But if you're not mentally projecting like worst case scenario stuff, like, and the point is like one of the main reasons like I move so much and like do that stuff is, one, it wears a lot of people out, but it's not just for them. Like I want to be worn out so that all I have to rely on at the end in my last harder rounds is technique. Yeah. Right. It's why you and I go from gym to gym to gym, is because like eventually I'll start to get tired, and like people that shouldn't hold a feather to me, no offense, like I just have a lot of time. Like I could easily handle you if I hadn't spent 2 hours at another gym. Right. Yeah, it kind of helps me like realize where my technique truly is, where I'm not relying on my conditioning. I'm not relying on like the fact that I can outline. Like that's something that you and I do. Like sometimes you and I just have good days because like we have a higher cardio. Yeah. It's not because we're better.
True. That's very true. Like I can outlast somebody. Yeah. I can literally get to the end of the round and be like, okay, now I'm ready to do something. And they're like,
or you catch them. You didn't get, they came in while you were rolling with somebody else and you catch them, but now they're tired.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not, I have no interest in that. I mean, I do, I'll work with anybody, but like, that's not really what I'm looking for. I want you fresh. I want you at your best while I'm kind of like fading. Right. Cause I want to see, man, I really wish when we were talking, I really wish like, what did I say about like, oh, so like at the end of the day, like your training and your mentality of your training is the difference between like, do you end up like a pot, a kettle, a skillet, or does your iron get forged into a weapon? Right? Like,
are you just a lump of shit that came out of the earth for the rest of your life?
Well, I mean, everybody's got a purpose, right? And I still say that I still love the analogy. I came up with that one, with the one of like, do you really want to be like, I don't know how many of you struggle with this. I certainly struggle with it. You don't want to be like the iron nut that holds on your license plate that doesn't even fit in the hole, right? Like that just that's not what I'm interested in, right?
No.
And so like, I don't know, man, like that's like, and it's something I really want to see in you because you again, I say it a lot, like you locked into who you fell in with, like, and people have taken, like, you're just because you're inquisitive and like you have a lot of questions, but like there's also some like, I don't know what it is. I see it the most in the fact that like you don't hunt submissions. You don't. You really don't. Not really. And then like you need to work on striking, but like it's a strong uphill battle.
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot more to like just get into it. Like I'm a very slow burn on a lot of things, and I'm fully aware of that. At my age, I should be. Like there are just some things like,
weighing the pros and cons. Like
like I sift it out. I know it's going to take a while. Like there are certain things I know I need to do. And I'm getting there. It's just making sure I'm balancing the time between all the things that I do.
And there's nothing wrong with that too, especially being in old age. Like you don't want to catch a serious concussion.
Now. I'm going to be super picky about who I train striking with.
Yeah, and as you should. You should do that. You should do that even as a young person. Like there's no reason to go out there and like get taught. Like the amount of times that I got talked into doing rounds with people 3 to 5 times over my weight class, and
who may not have any control or anything like that.
They didn't. Yeah. My first serious concussion, I got on my brand new motorcycle and drove to me and my ex-wife's old house in Dayton from Columbus. And then I was like, what am I doing?
You're like, where am I?
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously. Like it was a terrible experience. And that was after like I had a super heavyweight. Ugh. I had a light heavyweight, and then I don't even know what he was, just an out of shape obese boxer, and they put me in the corner and just beat me to death. Ugh. And like I didn't have the movement base that I had now. I didn't have the head movement. Like I didn't have any of that. Like it was just me trying to be a tank. And I just remember at one point I got hit and bounced. And I said, this is probably not good. And then they're like, all right, man, see you, good training, and just let me get on a motorcycle and take off. Yeah. Like it was not great. No. But like, so training with intention, training even in like stuff you don't like. There's a lot of things I've started out like, I don't like that. And now I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm starting to learn how to like those areas, especially when I have that mindset of like, oh, I don't like that. I try to be like, okay, well, what am I taking away from it? Or am I just not involved correctly? Well, and so like it goes back to like that age old, like be comfortable with uncomfortable things, right? One of the big things that our last episode 9, so this is 10. We talked about being off the mats, right? Mm-hmm. The only reason I've been off the mats is because it's an infection and I worry about other people. If this was a broken bone, I would have been on the mats as soon as they fixed it. Yeah. I've broken my arm. There was a real bad foot injury where I couldn't walk, but I like butt scooted into the mats. Like, and like I would tuck it into my gi. Like I've broken my wrist, I've broken my fingers. Like, I've had this was all busted up and broken. Yeah. Trained every day. And my guard got good. I would, and I would just tap. They passed a tap because I can't fight the side control pressure. I can't risk.
As soon as
this.
they go on, you're like,
yeah. And like when my foot was messed up and I couldn't do anything, like that's when my half guard got really good because I only had one working leg. Like, so like you can find elements of training, but you have to be smart. You have to train with attention, and you have to keep your ego in check.
Yeah.
And like, again, it's what do you want to be? And people are like, oh man, that seems so dangerous. Like, it's not that serious. But it is for me. Like, this is my job. But on top of the fact that like I always respect people who shoot no matter the elements, right? Especially if they shoot outside, right?
Yeah.
They want to know how they perform with gloves on. They want to know how, like, I have so much respect if you're going to do that. What if in the context of a fight, my ankle rolls and now that foot doesn't work? Thank God I've trained with something hurt. And I know what my capabilities are. I know I can at least survive. I can control. I've trained with one arm. What if we fall and my arm breaks? I now know I can fight with one arm.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's not just a simulation. You've done it for real. And like, I know people think that's like extreme, but I've trained with broken fingers and broken toes.
I always find it funny. The people who think it's extreme, don't do anything.
No, of course not.
And again, like, it's like that thing I said to that patient the other day. Like, oh, you think that you're like Billy Badass. Like, if something real happened, like you wouldn't be here. And I was like, I understand that, but I just want you to understand, like, you get to enjoy the comforts of my care, right? Like, I'm gonna, if his example was if somebody came with a gun, like, you'd leave me here and I'd just be dead in a bed. And I was like, nah, man, nope. Like, and there's a couple people I know on our department that would be that way, and I know a couple others that would respectfully, like, not, no shame, like, you just are made of it or you're not, and like, that's just how it is. And I think I don't know, it's such a strange thing that people have who don't dabble in any kind of violence have such strong opinions on it.
Of course they do.
Like, I mean, I get it. Like, everybody has opinions on it. Like, I was just having a very interesting conversation about child rearing and the importance of parenthood.
Right.
But like, and I carried that over into a couple other conversations with people, and then the ones that don't have kids have this wild misbelief or not understanding of like what it's like to have a kid. Like, I don't know, but I know it takes it takes a village.
Your life.
It takes a village.
Your life.
But like,
you're sacrificing your life to have another life.
And to have another life, and then like make sure that you're not creating a shitty person, like a shitty human. Like, you have to be present. You have to do these things, and people are like, again, like, it's a real strange thing that people speak with such confidence. I saw a comedian the other day. He was like, you ever have somebody say something with such confidence that you have to be like, hold up, you might be onto something here. And you have to retreat because that idiot spoke with so much confidence and made you second guess yourself. I run into that a lot. Like, I know there's no such thing as experts. Let's throw that word just in the garbage. Like, I have a lot of familiarity with real life scenarios, and I still get shocked by somebody being like, oh, I would just do this. And I kind of pause because they're like, man, maybe that'll work. And then I start to run through it. And then I have to, my next question is like, oh, what do you train?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know none of that stuff. Never mind. I gave you way too much respect.
You're going to go and back that off. There's no intention in your training because there is no training.
Yeah.
But stuff like that. Like, you do run into those people that are the level of hubris.
That's the word, hubris.
Yes. The level of hubris with the untrained, it kind of goes back into stuff we talked about, the what if, but also like it does go to intention. Like, if you're not putting yourself in some of those situations, like if we're going back to the original example we gave was pass, sweep, submit, like you may not get into those situations into a round. What if you just get taken down and passed? So like if you're not used to playing top, because you suck at being the base, so you get beat every time and you stand back up and you get the opportunity to start passing. You get the opportunity to improve your sweeps.
The goal is to be the king of the mountain.
Yeah.
Be based.
Well, you also get the chance to understand like the sweeping mechanics and how to stop them in those situations because you're forcing that singular situation.
And to avoid those things, if you're constantly being swept, like you should be studying how it feels and then trying to make your opponents feel that way.
Where do I base? Where do I put my hands?
Where did they put their hands? How did they defeat this? I tried a cartwheel thing. It didn't work out. Why? How'd they stop it? Like, I mean, these things that you have to be present and intentional in things if you want to improve, or I guess you'll improve no matter what, but if you want to speed up the process.
Yeah.
And,
so really, to like bring this all together, be thoughtful, have intention with how you train. If you have a job like ours, like where you're going out and like you have to do these things, like come up with a way to motivate yourself through that. Not just for like for me, like I'm probably never going to be like this constant competitor. I'm going to compete
once a year.
Promise.
Yeah. Just the tips.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, like find that intention so that you're not just like, you're not the nut that doesn't fit in the back of the license plate.
Dude, that was so frustrating. It's such a perfect analogy for what we were talking about too. Like, but be like, again, like it sounds corny and it's such a cliche, but like if you're training a martial art, you're trying to forge yourself into a weapon. You're taking this core of metal and you're trying to shape it, right? Do you want to be a skillet or do you want to be a sword? Like, do you want to like, or a hammer, whatever, pick your weapon. I don't give a shit. Like, but like, go do it. Like,
yes.
Don't just waste your time. And again, as always, the message is if you're not training, you should be training.
Yep.
Like you need to train, especially if you're in any kind of emergency services. And I'm talking like, and I know we say it, but like in case this is the first time you see it, like nurse, doctor, EMT, firefighter, a healthcare worker of any kind, social worker, especially the ones who go into places like you survey foster homes or you go to halfway houses. Like you need to have some way of physically controlling or exerting violence onto another person.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be repetitive because it's a perishable skill. It's not like a once a year seminar where they bring in somebody who shows you some wax on move and like, this is the end.
No.
That's what's the one where they put your hand in and snake jaw them if they're biting you.
So
functionally that can work, but that takes a level of violence that most people aren't ready for.
That's a great, like, especially when you're talking about those social workers that go out to houses, they have to have confidence in their abilities because
you're entering that ambush scenario.
Yeah.
Like you're going into that predators.
And I know everybody's like, I'm Switzerland.
You're not.
Somebody has a problem with what you're doing.
They have a problem with what you're doing, or they view you as an easy target.
So take responsibility for your training. Be intentional if you do. And if you're in emergency services or if you're in the medical field specifically, you have to remember you see people at their lowest point.
Nobody wants to be in a hospital.
Not only do they not want to be in a hospital, but you may have somebody who's a high functioning individual that in that moment is at their lowest, and all the civility has been stripped away from that human because of the illness they have, whether it be mental, physical, like whatever. And in that moment, they are pure raw nerve of rage.
Or on the flip side of it, especially if you're rotating in, like you're a night one or you're a new day shift nurse and you're taking a patient, the care that patient received before you could have been abysmal. And they might just be at the end of their rope.
Yeah.
And you just look like another nurse that's going to treat them poorly or another doctor that's going to talk down to them. And that is speaking from experience as a patient.
Yeah.
Like, it is a like being in the hospital is a horrible experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have some physical confidence, and you're responsible for it. Like we can talk to you all day, and like we can get on those mats and we can show you like this works sometimes. Like it's like Sex Panther, 60% of the time it works all the time. Like you need to be. You said something the other day, and it was just concussions.
Concussions.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone. And we're gone too. But go train. Ask us questions. Put them in the comments.
Out.
Bye.